This is Hook Lighthouse, Hook Head Peninsula, oldest operational lighthouse in the world. It was built by Richard Marshall. He was Strongbow's son-in-law, and he was a great knight, well respected. So he needed protection to show his ships the way. It was the beacon of life. Without seeing that beacon, it was nearly certain shipwreck. You could see that beacon on a clear day from Wales.
Wasn't it very dangerous because of all the rocks?
Oh, it was lethal. Have a look at that. The story about a patch in time going back millions of years ago. Dead, extinct creatures, fossilized. They look like nuts and bolts. Like a lattice of some sort of creature going back millions of years ago. It's very fish-like. Coast Watch is very important for kids. It gets them out on the beach with purpose and makes them aware of the whole environment along the coast. Anyone knows what these are? They're edible periwinkles. People collect them and sell them, but they're a little snail. If you turn them up that way, he has a groove. A siphonal groove is called, and it injects it into the barnacle and it sucks it out.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to do a Coast Watch survey today. We'll give you buckets, you work in pairs, really running and collecting as many different types as you can, okay? Let's go. Climb where there's no honeycomb, okay? So climb, but don't walk onto honeycomb. So I want you to now just look for some honeycomb and feel it, and then look if you see any animals maybe in it as well. So here's a really nice bit of fresh honeycomb. Look at all these worms. There are millions of little worms. You can feel it somehow sharp there.
Will they bite me?
I don't think they bite. You put your hand over it. Well, Coast Watch is important as a citizen science project. What we're trying to do is get informed citizens who know how to participate.
There's one under here, huge.
Oh, that's huge. You saw a little bit of the honeycomb was wrecked by one of them. Another one did some damage to limpets. The others swarmed around them and told them not to. For me, that was a success.
There's been people camping here over the summer, so we're going to have a lot of paper, burnt plastics, stuff like that.
I've got a plastic strap, rope, sweet wrapper, plastic packet, a hose pipe and a plastic strap. I found a rope, a paper, plastic packet and binding tape.
Single-use binding tape.
It is good because we are cleaning the beach.
They're tomorrow's politicians or tomorrow's marine scientists. They'll ultimately dictate the direction all this is going to go.
A stunningly beautiful area, but over the last few days, the temperature on some of the rocks has gone near to 40 degrees centigrade, and limpets are just falling off the rocks, dead.
Very welcome aboard the boat.
Thank you very much. So climate change and heat waves is something which would probably concern me most in the intertidal area, and we have a huge responsibility.
In there is Rathmine Cove. That's where we launch our kayaks.
Yeah.
We kayak over here where there's lobster pots. We haul our pots over here. 2 years ago was brilliant here. There was loads of lobsters. But last year was all right. This year's not great.
10,000 years ago, Mesolithic people would have been obviously on different boats, and they would have been further in because sea level was much lower. The shelter of the Waterford estuary would have attracted them. You would have been looking for fresh water, you would have been looking for food. And the salmon, which come down the west coast, around Ireland, and then go up the Waterford estuary in huge numbers. Well done. First go.
There we are. There you go.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Oh, yes! I don't believe it. I think there's even two.
Baby lobster. 2 baby lobsters.
Yes, look at that. My goodness. My goodness.
Right.
Wow.
Right, we've got a small little baby lobster here. We'll just measure him first. Now, you measure, see the eye socket here? You see this line here on the back of the shell? 87 millimeters, he's way too small. That line should be back here, so he's way too small anyways. But he's a male. See these two? If they're hard, that's male. If they're real soft, it's female. And females have more flared tails, and they might have loads of black little eggs under. They're like little marbles, millions of them.
The message for us is that climate change is definitely happening now. We're getting very unusual weather, and everybody can do something to help animals adapt. We have to reduce the amount of pollutants, including bleach, going into the sea. We have to reduce the amount of interference when animals are really heat stressed. We need to care for sea life a lot now.
I've been involved in, I suppose, maritime activity in Waterford since the early 80s. Just finished an 8-year term as a port director. Port is hugely important. I mean, traditionally when you have a busy port, everything else around the region is also busy. Busy port, busy hinterland. The port is synonymous with the city of Waterford for many, many years, and sometimes when a port moves out of the inner city, like we moved to Bellevue in 1993, there's a little bit of disconnect then happens because people don't see a lot of things going on. We set up a heritage committee on the board, made up of board members. So we decided to pick on 2 or 3 particular projects that we felt would make a big difference to the communities in those particular areas.
I'm chairman of the Cheap Pine Boat Owners Association. We're here in Cheap Pine Quay, adjacent to the River Suir. Behind me, you can see all the boats are aground. We've no water, and we have to wait for the water to come in. It's one of the problems that you face in a harbour that's tidal dependent. We need the water, obviously, to float the boats. A group of us talking about what a benefit it would be to the boating community if we could some way access the boats and keep them afloat 24/7. We got the community together, they have to be on board.
Cheek Point is a very, very, very famous village. A lot of pilots, river pilots and everything came from these areas. There was a lot of traditional fishing from these areas. People fish for eels, fish for salmon. So we just decided that, you know, as a project to help the local community and help the people there, to give them more access to the river. Because at the end of the day, it seems an awful shame that we have this beautiful river flowing down here and, you know, at certain times people might find it difficult to get access to it.
Funding was from 2 sources, basically. Leader was the funding body that came behind us. That was crucial. You can't succeed without having it. Port of Waterford were on board from day one, but it was a case of go do the work, lads. Well, the solution is outside of the main quay We have water all the time. 24/7, there's water there. All we needed to do was to be able to access this water. And the solution turned out to be a floating pontoon. All in all, it's a game changer here for the boat users.
It's a natural progression for the port to get involved in these things. Brings the port and brings the maritime activity within the port closer to the people. From a port perspective, whatever we can do to enhance the enjoyment of this whole area for people, we would like to do, from a cultural and heritage point of view.
I'm over the moon about it. It's an amazing achievement for the community and for the people who put the hard work in. It's a game changer. It's the first floating 24/7 facility on the River Suir between Dunmore East, Waterford and New Ross.